Hi, I'm Halfar. I'm a partner at Elixirr based out of South Africa. We've been doing a video interview series speaking to business leaders around the world during this difficult time, trying to understand their perspective on responding to the pandemic. We want to understand the impact this has had on their business, the innovative ways organizations have responded to the challenge, and the future opportunities that leaders see in light of the post-COVID-19 environment. Today, I'm speaking with Prabashini Moodley from Old Mutual. Now, Old Mutual, for those that don't know who Old Mutual is a 175-year-old multinational insurance, investment, and financial services organization, employing over 30,000 people across 14 countries and 2 regions, both in Africa and in Asia. And Prabashini is the managing director of Old Mutual Corporate, providing small to large businesses with retirement fund, investment, and group risk benefits, solutions, and services. And I'm very excited to be speaking to Prabashini today. She's been with Old Mutual for a number of years, both in South Africa and internationally, and I believe actually in Mexico, if I've got it correct. And I'm sure that Prabashini has seen a number of challenges come and go within the group. So it'll be interesting to see her perspective on this specific challenge. So let's start. Firstly, welcome Prabashini, great to have you.
Thanks so much, Dieter. Thanks for the opportunity.
It's an absolute pleasure. Now, Prabashini, let's get into it. So my first question is really around your perspective on how Old Mutual has responded to this very sudden onset of the COVID-19 pandemic and the change in economic climate. And I suppose what I'm specifically interested in is understanding how did you as a group or as a business plan for and manage this initial response?
Dieter, as you mentioned, Old Mutual's been around a very long time. So we've seen lots of different environments and lots of challenges. But I think the COVID-19 pandemic is like nothing else. At the group level, we convened our crisis committee very, very early on. And this is led by our chief operating officer, and we have representation from across different functional areas as well as different businesses of ours. And I think this, enabling this committee to have a very clear and strong decision-making ability, and the team got together regularly, daily and twice daily initially, and this enabled us to respond quite effectively. So we managed to enable the bulk of our workforce to actually work from home. And in South Africa, data is an issue, internet connection is an issue. So we had to consider the different working environments and make sure we gave people the tools. And in some cases, we signed out, we signed out hardware, we signed out desktops. We allowed people to fetch their chairs from the offices. So practical things just to make working from home possible.
It's fantastic to hear, Prabashini. That's fantastic to hear. And I think that echoes what we're seeing across the globe is this enormous effort that went into actually enabling the business to work. And fantastic to hear that you've done that successfully. So as you look forward now, kind of coming out of the initial crisis management, you start thinking about business recovery. What are some of your thoughts around how you see Old Mutual positioning itself in the medium term, at least, to recover out of this phase? What are some of the key things that you've been doing as a business? Have you changed the way you think about customer delivery, your product, your solutions? Just if you could share some thoughts around how you think about recovery as the group, and maybe even a little bit closer to home, specifically Old Mutual Corporate.
Yeah, I think, Dieter, even before we get to recovery, we've had to put in place quite a few customer relief options. So, every part of the economy is impacted. In South Africa, we have high levels of unemployment even before COVID-19. And now with so many industries, so many people who haven't been able to work during our hard lockdown, and even now in level 4, the dependency ratio is something that's very important in South Africa. So an individual might still be employed, but the demands on their income just increases dramatically. So right across, from corporate customers to individual customers, whether it's life insurance or on the general insurance side, we've put in place quite a bit of customer relief. We're contributing and working very closely with our government and public sector on how we support businesses. So I think, even before we can focus on recovery, it's about just getting through where we are. And we're trying to contribute as much as we can in as meaningful a way as we can. while also balancing, our shareholders' interests. So it's been quite a balancing act in terms of the priorities of our staff, taking care of them, and then providing relief to customers and then the shareholders. In corporate in particular, we've been doing quite a bit of just thinking and trying to imagine. In fact, we call it reimagining Old Mutual Corporate. So we're trying to reimagine what the world could be like. And I think it's a complex situation we're in. So there isn't an obvious answer, and there are quite a few scenarios. And we think the acceleration of digital and what that enables, that's going to be fast tracked like nothing else. We're actually thrilled that our IT team is really they're shining in this moment, and they're moving the dial. And I think some of the things we're trying to take some of the learnings of how we've been able to respond in the crisis time, and say, what really worked there that we can take into our everyday business. So, for example, having a massive organization, but all different parts aligned around a few clear outcomes. I mean, it's been nothing short of magical. So we conceived and took to market a solution for healthcare workers, which was actually our contribution to society, but it's a non-product solution. And it went from idea to concept in a matter of weeks, and from concept to delivery in about 4 days. So, the crisis has shown us what's possible inside our organization.
So, lastly, Prabashini, is very insightful. I mean, maybe if you could share just some thoughts. If you think about your role as a leader in the group and as the managing director of a sizable business, what are some of the key takeouts for you that maybe you could share with other leaders globally around how you think of the future? What do you think is important for the future? What is this new normal that we're moving into, and how do we position ourselves as leaders to lead in such a difficult and uncertain time?
It has been very beneficial to be part of a bigger group. So our human capital team, for example, we shifted very quickly into creating, different kinds of support mechanisms. I never imagined, I enjoy meditation, but I never in my life imagined that I would be sitting with my group exco colleagues and my boss with my eyes closed doing a mindfulness practice. So, those are the sorts of things which are maybe for some people a bit esoteric, but leadership and being grounded and being connected, we need to find different ways. Human beings are social beings, and the one challenge I find now with video conferencing is you can't tell, body language is missing, and maybe someone's connection's poor, so you don't have video. So I think thinking about how to keep people engaged and motivated is going to be a really, really big challenge going forward. And then when we do use those in-person engagements, how do we maximize the value from that? And I think, we're going to have to force ourselves to think differently. So what COVID has provided, and the remote working is, suddenly it's the younger, more tech savvy people who are more comfortable, and it's the seniors who are, were the experts in the previous environment, who are suddenly now slightly behind. So I think the dynamic in the working environment is going to change quite a lot, certainly in our business. Corporate is a very relationship driven business, and our larger clients are also equipped with video conferencing. They don't find it that challenging to shift. But in a business that's largely been relationship driven and a lot of in-person engagements, I think that's going to be the big challenge for us. So how do you network? How do you support clients and keep that connection going in a world that becomes largely remote? Yeah.
Fantastic and very insightful, and absolutely resonates with a lot of things we're seeing globally. Prabashini, thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your experience today in terms of how you guys have dealt as a group, but also you as an individual leader in your organization, how you've dealt with this crisis. Thank you for watching. If you do like the video, please go to our website, like it on our website, like it on LinkedIn. We'd love to hear your comments, whether you liked it, enjoyed it, what you specifically would like to focus on in our next series. And until then, goodbye.